Thanks for joining us on I Met Jesus. This is where we are exploring the lives of some people in Scripture who encounter Jesus Christ and they walk away changed one way or another. You can't be neutral when you encounter Christ. We hope that you learn a lot from the podcast, and we hope that it challenges you and what your encounter with Christ is like as well.
Welcome back to the Crossroads Podcast.
First down.
Mistakes were made, mostly by me. Hopefully you will never see them. Gentlemen, we've got Wes, we've got Jason, and he's already dreaming about the Cowboys being in the playoffs maybe. How are we doing this week, gentlemen, before we jump right into it?
Fantastic. Wes is doing great.
Wonderful.
He is excited about bills and being an adult.
That water bill is the
plumbers out
worst.
there?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a great plumber. I'll recommend him to you.
Great.
We know people.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
We know people.
I know.
What up, Chase?
Let me ask you this.
First time, long time?
Important religious philosophical question. Do you think when you get assistance from people in the community, they feel pressured to give you guys the services for free
No.
by Jesus?
No, I don't feel that people feel pressured at all.
Okay, that's good.
I'll tell you an interesting thing.
Please do.
I prefer that when we get stuff from our community, that we don't get discounts from them.
Do you ever think about tithing?
And we've told them that, by the way.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do you ever think about tithing them where you give them like an extra 10%?
We've never given them extra money to
Okay.
give but like if we're ordering pizza or stuff, a lot of times, or we've done stuff with various other businesses, car repairs for people, things like that. A lot of times we'll like try to encourage. Now sometimes they do it anyway, but we're like, you don't have to give us a discount.
Let us pay.
And then when they go, why? We're like, because we're the church. We're here to bless you, not the other way around.
That's nice with business.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate that.
Because businesses are used to getting. Okay, I probably shouldn't say it this way, but anyway, they're used to getting the shakedown from the church. You're like, how much can I get for free?
If anybody's curious, the best part of the podcast now is watching Crystal's reaction to things Jason.
Yes. Like, I miss Parker, but this is a whole different dynamic. Parker was always really supportive. Like, he would laugh or thumbs up. This is like, why are you talking?
Yep. The thumbs up, by the way, great emoji.
Oh, goodness.
Can we
This
get
is
into
why
that?
I looked at the Crossroads budget when y'all put it out several months ago. I just needed to make sure. All right. What direction are we going today, gentlemen? What are we going to be talking about?
The Sons of Thunder.
Sons of Thunder.
Sons of Thunder.
Do you wish that nickname would have caught on more? Or do you think it's caught on appropriately?
I think it's.
I feel like it caught on pretty well.
Okay.
It's been in the Bible for 2,000 years.
Yeah, somebody. I think it was Scott Seward was wearing a Sons of Thunder T-shirt the other day.
That is the least shocking thing I've
It
heard.
is. It was pretty awesome though, because I've always said it sounds like a legit metal band from
Yes.
the
Does it actually
first
say
century.
Sons of Thunder in the Bible? Though?
Not in this particular
Okay.
passage, but
Okay.
it does actually say it.
Really?
Yep.
Well, it does, because Zebedee means thunder.
But yeah, but there's a lot of translations in other places where it literally says Sons of Thunder.
Okay.
And when you read it, you have
Sons
to
of
go,
Zebedee.
Sons of Thunder.
Oh, then you know what? Since Zebedee means thunder, could you read this for us? And will you read it with that appropriate inflection?
Can you read it? Can you sing it like Bon Jovi would have in the 80s?
No, I can't.
That
I'm
would
not
be
a singer, and I'm not a singer like Bon Jovi.
James and John, it's now or never.
I mean, I thought Bon Jovi was here for just a second there. I thought he was right here in the middle chair.
I just want to pray forever. See? What are you going to do? It's their life.
Come on!
Guys, this is so bad.
What?
This is what our listeners
All right.
tune in for.
Yeah.
It's so much
Both of
worse
them.
Ryan and I-
before the
yeah.
camera.
Ryan and I listened to this podcast, the episode from last week, on the way back in the car today.
Yeah.
We got to minute 7. I was like, this is the best part. Like, this is it. This This is the funny part.
Oh, I got you.
We stopped it.
Oh, well, that's her.
So where are we picking up here?
Mark chapter 10.
Are you gonna? Shall you be reading for us again?
You want to try that again?
Shall you be reading for us again?
I shall. I think that's how this works every time.
All right.
Let's see how long it takes, guys.
What I find fascinating.
That's my favorite part is that not only does Jason jump in, he jumps into like the third or fourth point Wes wants to eventually get to. And he's like, let's just talk about it now before we finish reading.
Well, before he reads verse 35, I
Get us there.
just love.
Get us there.
I love the moment right before that precedes this. And if you look at verses 32, like Jesus is going to say something pretty intense. They're going up from Jerusalem, and he says this.
This was on my list of points for later.
This was on your list of points?
I failed.
Oh, man. Didn't know that. This is what maybe we should do.
No, it's all good. Keep going.
It is amazing the lack of synchronization
meetings.
you guys have for this.
We've been running around doing different stuff all day. Anyway, so they were on the road. They're going up to Jerusalem. Jesus is walking ahead of them. The disciples are astonished, but those who followed them were afraid. And then taking the 12 aside, he began to tell them the things that would happen to him. Verse 33, see, we are going up from Jerusalem. The Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests, the scribes, and will be condemned, and they will condemn him to death. Then they will hand him over to the Gentiles, and they will mock him, spit on him, flog him, and kill him, and then he will rise after 3 days. So he just said, I am going to have the trash kicked out of me and be murdered. This is if Jesus had the ability to be confused, this next sentence does it, because this is the most.
It is the weirdest response to that
It is.
situation.
I mean, he's God. He's never confused. But if he could be, they got him right here.
James and John, the sons of thunder, approached him and said, Teacher, we want you to do whatever we ask you. What do you want me to do for you? He asked them. They answered him, allow us to sit at your right and your left in your glory. Jesus said to them, you don't know what you're asking. Are you able to drink the cup I drink, or to be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with? We are able, they told him, which is just irrational confidence.
Very confident.
Here. Jesus said to them, you will drink the cup I drink, and you will be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with. But to sit at my right or left is not mine to give. Instead, it is for those for whom it has been prepared. When the 10 disciples heard this, they began to be indignant with James and John. Jesus called them over and said to them, you know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those in high positions act as tyrants over them. But it is not so among you. On the contrary, whoever wants to become great among you will be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you will be a slave to all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many.
I just will say, beautifully done.
Thank you.
Kevin, I would just start with you. Like, does anything jump out to you first?
Yeah, I mean, even with the disciples, like, you still have to know what the goal of this is. And I liked that. It just makes so many of these people feel more human, that even among the disciples, there's like some jockeying for position or potential. Yeah. And that just, it makes it feel so much more relatable at times, because we can all immediately think of like, oh, that happened to me, or I did this, right. Or, you know. And so even with the people that we think of as, well, they surely must be the holiest of the holy, they still run into very similar problems.
They were wholly stupid.
Yeah.
But that, I'm with them in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jesus just said, I'm going to get the trash kicked out of me.
I'm going to die.
I'm going to die. And their response to that was, can I sit at your right and left?
Yeah.
Well, first it was, yeah.
And
we just need you to do
whatever we ask.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're Jesus, you're going, did you listen to any of the parts of the things I just said?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Wes, because as you explained previously, you have points. So what was your first point that would be in here?
It's not. It's what we're talking about. It's the request that, like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the idea that Jesus, like he has this interaction with like the rich young ruler in the previous chapter, and he's like, here's what it takes to follow me, give up everything you have. And then he predicts his death. This is the third time he's told them, I'm going to go die. And James and John go, sounds good. Here's what we want. We'd like to be like essentially in Roman culture, what they would have believed is the person that sits at the right hand was the next most important person, and then the left would be the next most important person. Yeah. So I imagine James and John are also arguing who's on the right and left. But it's just like, I don't know, for me, holy stupid is a great way to say this, but it's just like, it's a ridiculous ask for what Jesus is saying. Because he's setting up what's the foundation of our faith, what ultimately these guys, which is crazy, he's going to predict this, but they're going to die for, is what he's about to do. But they're so... I don't know if it's short-sighted, narrow-minded, self-focused, that they just miss it.
Well, they're very short-sighted because, like, the kingdom they're still preparing for is a political kingdom. Like, they're not thinking, okay, he's speaking about an eternal kingdom. Like they're not looking at that at all. Like they're going, we're going to be going, we're going to head in Jerusalem. He's going to probably overthrow something. We're not sure how it's going to go, but eventually he's going to need probably the best and brightest of these 12. And we've met the other 10 guys. So we should be number 1 and number 2. And we're going to be the ones that, like, he's going to have some people he can appoint some things to, so people that can take charge.
We've met Peter.
Yeah. Pete's a knucklehead.
Yeah,
and some of these guys, people aren't even going to know all their names a couple of thousand years from now. So like James and John, those are names you want to hold on to. So like that's their mindset, which again, you go, how idiotic, but we constantly struggle with thinking about the temporary instead of the eternal. And so, we do the same thing, just on kind of a less obviously stupid scale.
So we don't view this as an altruistic journey whatsoever.
For them at this point? No, I don't think so at all. I don't, because we know they didn't get,
That's a big word, Jaden Thompson. So you should look that up.
We know that they do not get what he is talking about of death and resurrection. We know that because on Easter Sunday, there are no heroes in the story. Like nobody is at the tomb going, here he comes, let's go. Like none of that is happening. So when Jesus dies, they're not anticipating a return. And so they don't get it. They're thinking from a temporary and a very kind of earthbound kingdom.
Well, and we know they don't get it because Jesus tells them they don't get it.
Yeah.
Right? Like he says, allow us to sit at your right and sit at your left in glory. And he says to them, you don't know what you're asking.
Yeah. But can we back up before we get there? Because can we just talk about their first question?
We can.
Yeah, go for it.
We want you to do whatever we ask you. Which, I don't know how you wanted to talk about this, but to me, this is like we were talking about this the other day, like Shane's book that he just released, the Bible study, Not My Jesus. Oh, look at that on the pod. Oh, that was pretty smooth. We didn't even talk about this, but I think that it's so culturally relevant to approach student edition, to approach God and go, give me what I want.
Yes, it is incredibly stupid, but it's also like it's a thing. It's a cultural thing, and it's been a thing for a very, very long time. And so like here's the deal: like if you're the one that gets to go, I want God to give me what I want. I want God to create the world and the and existence in the way that I shape it. Then you're God, because you're now the one defining what things are going to be like. Instead of going, I need to be living in response to God, you're now telling God what to do. If you're telling God what to do, then you're God.
Does that specific statement then fascinate you? Because right before they say, we want you to do whatever we ask, they do reference him as teacher. So they do.
But I think that is indicative of like they don't understand who he is, because later they're going to reference him as Lord, and teacher would have been like, yes, you know what you're talking about, yes, we're following you, but maybe you missed this thing, do what we want. And we're guilty, I think, in our culture of sometimes treating God, you've used this before, but like a cosmic vending machine, or a genie in a lamp where you get wishes. And if we're not careful, like to your point, we've just replaced God with us. and that's a dangerous place to be. That is.
And I think, like, Kevin, what I kind of hear you asking is, like, do they recognize that they're trying to be God? And I think the answer is probably no. Like, they're not dumb enough to say, well, I'll become God.
Right.
Instead, they're just going to functionally act like it.
I want to be the right hand.
So, like, they're going to let him retain the title, but they're going to be the ones pulling the strings. And that is creating a God by our design, in our image. So I know we partially joked about this, but this is, so I don't know if you've met Shane yet, but Shane actually goes to our church. And Shane Pruitt has released a new book. He had a huge success with 9 Common Lies that came out a few years ago. And then he did Calling Out the Called, for those called into ministry. He just did a new church study called Not My Jesus, like reclaiming the truth and rejecting the idols, and just like the idea that like some people will claim to follow Jesus, but they've actually crafted an idol that they call Jesus in a different image. And we're not going to go through all these, but like I'm curious which one might jump out to you the most. So, and again, I'm not going to explain them all. I would highly encourage you to get the book. We're also probably going to look at something with this in the next year, potentially as a church. And so like it's Moldable Jesus, Personal Genie Jesus, Non-Judgmental Jesus, Participation Trophy Jesus, Distant Jesus, Comfortable Jesus, Boring Jesus, or National Jesus.
Without question, it is Personal Genie Jesus, because I think back on so many of my prayers, and instead of like starting them with, thank you for my family, thank you for we get to live a fairly comfortable life, it is usually, if you could really help this one thing break my way or whatever. And then sometimes, though I have to admit, not always, would include the also thank you for X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So it's definitely that one.
And this is the struggle that you get with James and John. Like if Jesus is your personal genie and the function of Jesus is to give you everything you want and desire, then the first time it doesn't go your way, you question who he is. Mm-hmm. Even though he never claimed that he would give you everything you want and desire, he actually told you that life would be difficult. But if you've got a genie, you got wishes, man. You can wish your way out anything. And so this is how a lot of people end up walking away from the faith, because they bought into a lie about who Jesus is and what he promised. Jesus has never failed on any of his promises. The problem that we run into is that other people attribute promises to God that he never claimed. And so like that's like when somebody goes like, man, just pray and this person will be healed. Well, if they're a believer, they're going to be healed in this life or the next. But Jesus didn't heal everybody in this life. Like that's not always how it functions. Like people die. Our lives are temporary on this earth. And so we know that. And, Jesus never promised you would have immense wealth. There's like whole theological circles that go like, man, if I'm faithful, I will have money. And if I have no money, it's because I need to have more faith.
Yeah.
And that is also not a thing Jesus ever said. And so that's, I think, the risk that you run, and this is how we interpret it in our modern culture. James and John, of course, we can't really crawl in their head. We don't know what they wanted. But the fact that they started a conversation with God by going, let me tell you what I want, means that they are getting the relationship a little backwards.
And can I ask you one more thing about that then?
Yes.
In 37, it feels like they're trying to, I don't know, like patronize or suck up to him when they're like, let one of us sit at your right, the other at your left in your glory. Mm-hmm. Do you get that sense at all? They're like, hey, we still know you're the best. We just want to ride along.
Yeah, I think to some degree, I think to Jason's point earlier, I think they just see this kingdom very differently than Jesus does, which is what he's going to wrap up with at the very end. He's going to go, essentially my kingdom is backwards than the way you're thinking. So I think some of it is just a move for power. Some of it's a move for closeness. I don't even know if it's them just so much trying to schmooze him as much like we know if this is how kingdoms work and we want to be at the top of it.
Yeah. Because like even Rome, who they would have been overthrowing, like would have constantly talked about the glory of Rome.
Yeah.
And they're talking about it from a very temporal place.
Yeah.
And I absolutely think that's what these two. I mean, we know that was like one of the biggest things that people thought about Jesus, is that he would eventually overthrow the political system that had held them under their thumb for so long.
Right.
So from there, as we move on through the text, and he asked them about that, it says, Jesus said to them, "You don't know what you're asking." Like, they think this is a pretty simple question.
Sure.
And then he says, "Are you able to drink the cup I drink and be baptized the baptism that I am?" And to me, and maybe I'm reading this as more cocky than it is, but like, yes, we are. Like,
We are able.
yeah, like when he's saying, do you, like, can you live up to the responsibility, the weight, the calling that I have on my life? And they go, "Yep."
And don't you get the sense, I know it's not specifically laid out in the text like this, but don't you get the sense that they probably responded in unison and very quickly?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way I hear it in
Right,
my
right.
head, is they're both like, "We can," straight away.
Yeah, I mean, well, in the text, I mean, Mark gives them one voice. It's just always they said, they said, they said. So I don't know if Mark was over there going, "Oh goodness, here come Thunder Boys. Let's have them let's have them talk." So
Yeah, and I think like there's a phrase that Jesus uses in verse 36 or 38 that could be applied to the rest of the text. You don't know what you're asking. So like even like in their response, like, "We are able," like I think you could just go, there is no point in this interaction where James and John understand what Jesus is talking about.
well, and even when he goes into the next thing, it's going to be super ominous, but they probably perceived it as affirmation. Because they just said, "We are able to carry this mantle."
Yeah.
And then he said, "Well, you will." What they didn't realize is that the baptism and the cup, like when you think about the cup, like the first thing my brain went to is the Garden of Gethsemane. In the Garden of Gethsemane, they're talking. Jesus talks to God, and he talks about, like, this is when he's going through the process of like sweating blood, which I believe the actual medical terminology is hematidrosis. It's when you're under such a level of stress. It's almost impossible for them to reproduce, like in people. But like it's been through extreme torture situations and things like that, where the vessels and the capillaries under the skin burst, and then it comes out through your pores as you sweat. That's the image of what's happening to Jesus, and Jesus knows the weight of what's coming. He knows the cross is coming, and it's not just the cross. It's not, weirdly for him, the biggest burden is not having the spikes in his wrists and ankles and being pinned to a tree. He's about to carry the weight of all sin for the world, for all history. That's the cup, and he talks to even the Father and says, "Father, if there's a way, let this cup pass from me." It's so heavy that even Jesus, because Jesus is fully God, but also fully human, the human side of Jesus goes, "Whew, I don't know if even I can bear this." And James and John,
We are able.
we got it.
We got it, yeah.
We're good. Listen, Jesus, when you're struggling, we're the guys for you. So it's really a cup of suffering.
Yeah, I do think some of it, maybe this is reckless speculation, what's about to happen. Some of it, I think, is supportive of Jesus. Because, like, your right and left people in that day and time would be the people closest to you that you depend on.
Yeah.
So I think what they're saying is, like, we are in. We want to help. We're supportive of you. Now, we're also vying for power. We're also, like, we want a great position.
Yeah.
But I do think some of it is rooted in, like, we have walked with you for 3 years. We want to be in your glory. We want to be with you, that kind of thing. So, and I think, some of it can be arrogance. I think some of it is just, like, ignorance.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know what they're about to see. Like, if you ask James and John the Saturday after Jesus is killed, if they would go, "We are able," they would be like, "No."
Right. Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, to the most gracious kind of version of this is,
What was it? Mr. Grace right here.
if they're thinking
It's true.
what we've seen to this point is what has to be carried, we're willing to sign up for that.
Right.
So what do y'all think reckless speculation and whatnot. What do y'all think that breakdown is of, like, are they 30% they really mean that, and 70% this is my path to power, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reality is that the duality exists in all of us, right? Like,
For sure.
there's this longing to, like, I want to honor God, but also, like, hey, if this works out for me, that's not a bad thing either. And, like, I think that stuff exists in all of us. And so, I mean, you want to give James and John, like, some credit here because they go on to do really good things. For sure. But I do think, I think there is a reality that there is a war within us of spirit and flesh that kind of pulls against that on a regular basis. And you can see it, even though they don't in this moment see it in them. Like Jesus, I think, does see it in them. But Jesus also is going to foreshadow that they're going to watch him suffer and suffer for the sake of the gospel. And he's going to foreshadow that actually you are going to carry this cup. Now, they don't know what that means, but Jesus, as fully God, knows what that means. Do you want to jump into what that is getting at?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Just what's Jesus foreshadowing when he says, well, you will drink this cup and you will experience this baptism?
Yeah, I think I didn't do a huge deep dive here, but I would assume he's just talking about, like, at some point you are going to be a part of the kingdom because of the work that Jesus does on the cross and his resurrection. Like, you have access. You are fully into the kingdom. You're going to have, communion with God. You're going to be baptized ultimately with the Holy Spirit in the book of Acts. Like, that, to me, that's what he was getting at. But
aren't they also going to experience this weight of suffering?
Sure. Like, yeah, I mean, they're both going to die.
Right.
Like, as martyrs for our faith. So,
yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
So yeah, absolutely. Like that's where I was kind of like, well, that's where where my brain went is like, Jesus, I think, is going like, you guys don't even understand this yet, but you're going to watch me suffer for the sake of the gospel. And you are going to bear that cup.
Yeah.
So you think you're talking about one thing, but there is a reality where you are going to live up to the strength that is required to bear this burden for the gospel. I mean, one of them is going to be martyred. The other one is ultimately going to die of old age, but he's going to be attempted to be killed. And it's going to go real, man. They tried to boil him, to death. Like all kinds of stuff is going to go real bad for a while. And
yeah, you see it, like, even how they talk, like in verse 39, we are able, present tense, Jesus' response, you will, future tense.
Right.
So, like, Jesus is just talking, like, in a totally different space and time than they can conceive, like, right here. If that makes sense.
And then what's interesting is, so this is their conversation. This is the foreshadowing of what's going on. The other 10 guys are clearly not far away. So they're hearing the whole, which, I mean, think about the boldness of, I mean, if you want to call out a bit of knuckleheadedness, if you are going to have a conversation about which two are going to be the top dogs of the 12, maybe get some distance from the other 10 guys.
Also, Peter gets a lot of junk in the church world for being the outspoken one here. Nobody talks about this story where, like, Jesus is predicting his death, and they're like, nah, we should be second place in glory,
Right.
guys.
Yeah, let's bring the Thunder Boys into the conversation.
Yeah, they are very close. It says, when the 10 disciples heard this, they began to be indignant with James and John.
Yeah, and this is not the first time that Jesus has had to, like, try to calm a conversation about who the top dog of the disciples is. Like, this has happened. This is going to happen multiple times in their ministry where Jesus has to, like, sit there and go, what are you doing? Like, you're debating who's going to be the best, who's going to be the greatest. And it's not just, I mean, like, who's going to get all the cred for this. And so Jesus is going to paint a completely backwards picture.
Yeah, and you get this sense, like, one of the things I was reading about this earlier is, like, you can almost read this like they're mad at James and John for asking this of Jesus, but the way the text is written is they're mad at James and John because they want to be right and left hand.
Yeah.
That's the way I took it.
I think so.
Yeah, because I know it says with James and John, but I was like, but not really, because they're not the decision makers. They're upset with the decision maker, and then it not feels like, Jesus straight up was like, hey, all the ruling systems that exist in the world, that's not how we do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think what he's about, well, I don't think what he's literally about to do is to redefine what this looks like, and he's going to flip the whole system on its head, and I think expose what is still one of the biggest problems in the church today in the world, in particular in the Western church, but this happens everywhere if we're being honest. And he's gonna turn the structure upside down. So I don't know if either one of you guys want to dive into that, but like where Jesus starts to pick up, and in verse 42, where he's going to go with this.
Yeah, I mean, I can read it, but
Yeah.
essentially the first part is what Kevin just said. Like, you know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those in high positions act as tyrants over them.
Yeah, I mean, hasn't everybody worked with like an overbearing person or I mean, Wes hasn't, but at least not here.
I have a great boss, everybody.
Well said.
No, I have an amazing boss. But yes, I have worked other places.
Right.
Oh yeah, you can, but it's literally how the whole world works, right? Like,
We love
people
hierarchy.
in power love to
You
exercise.
love hierarchy if you're at the top of it.
Right.
And then it takes 4 words for him to shut that down. He says, "Not so with you."
Yes. Yeah, he's going to say like, 'cause-
Great reminder to the disciples of what the last 3 years has been for him to go. Like, in some ways, I feel like he's saying here, guys, I possess the power to lord over you.
Yeah.
And I haven't.
Yeah, and he's going to give them a picture like in the Gentile world, which, by the way, we are Gentiles. Sure. Okay, so in the Gentile world, we could be saying like in our world today, we are very obsessed with title, position, hierarchy, all those kinds of things. Like ultimately, it comes down to who has the power, who gets the authority, who is swinging the biggest stick. And so like that is the question that everybody is trying to figure out. And Jesus goes like it's. I mean, this is 2,000 years ago, and not much has changed. Like to be quite honest, it's still a thing, and it happens in the church world all the time. So many churches are built on a hierarchical structure, and it's a thing that it really frustrates me. So I mean, I was a youth guy for a long time, and people immediately looked at that not as a calling, but as like, well, you'll get there one day, kid. And there was literally
Like it's the minor leagues.
Be a,
Oh,
be a-
100%.
Be a real pastor one day.
I mean, my own, and I love him, R.I.P. But my grandfather would say, "Are they ever going to let you be a real pastor?" Because I mean, to be fair to him, that is how whole generations saw this. There was the guy who was able to call the shots, and in a lot of churches, this is a way that churches function. Like a lot of churches. And then there's these other people who are role players in the other guy's vision and agenda. And the other guy, by the way, is not Jesus. It's the lead pastor of the church. And so it's all about power. It's all about those type of dynamics.
Yeah, so he's obviously going to go, it's not so among you. On the contrary, whoever wants to become great among you will be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you will be a slave to all. We'll get to the last verse in a minute. One of the things that I think is interesting here is, we're going to get nerdy for a second, if that's okay.
Sure.
There's Greek words used here, and a lot of times when we see the word serve, we think about the word diakonos, which is the word deacon, which is this idea, it's where we get the word deacon, but like the idea of like voluntary service. But this is actually the word doulos, which is kind of implies 2 things, a shift in ownership and humility. That like the way that the kingdom works is that the greatest are going to be the people that have fully shifted the ownership of their life to Jesus, and they live in humility. And that, like, you see that, like, Jesus models this wonderfully, right? Like, my brain just stopped. In Colossians, Colossians 1 talks about the humility of Jesus, that, like, he...
Did not consider himself worthy to be compared to God, essentially.
Yes, but he lives his whole life to be humble. And then he goes, the direction of my life, kind of the Garden of Gethsemane point, is who owns my life is the Father.
Yeah.
So whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to do the will of the Father. And that's the call of the Christian life, is I'm going to move what I want, the ownership of my life, over to Jesus and live in humility.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, it's where I think, for people in ministry, I mean, our staff hears this a lot, and I'm not saying that it's never a struggle, because sometimes it can be, but we try to make sure that our staff remembers all the time, because there are whole church structures where the members of the church show up to serve the needs of the pastor and staff, Jesus would have flipped that upside down and said, actually, you're getting that backwards. They're not to show up here to serve you. You show up to serve them. That's the call of a pastor. That's the call of a servant. That's the call that Jesus put on the disciples and what he puts on the whole of the Christian community. Like there's this great quote, Wes has heard me say it. I don't remember who started it, but it was like that we have to quit talking about servant leadership as if there's any other kind. Like there is really only one form of true leadership that people want to follow.
Yep.
And that's a servant leader. Other people, we follow people because we're supposed to. That's their role. They're my boss. They're in authority over me. And they might even be nice people. But if you're going to willingly line up behind somebody, like you ever wondered why there are so many people in Scripture that Jesus can say directly, here's what's wrong with your life, and they still like him?
Right.
It's because he models leadership in such a different way. And so he's able to go like, I'm here, listen, I am ultimately God, but I'm here to serve you, and I want to, by serving you, lead you out of where you are.
I want y'all to go ahead and go through the last line before I ask my next part of the question.
Before we do, I'm going to read this. I wasn't just playing on my phone earlier, believe it or not. There's a song that came out a couple of years ago called Simple Kingdom by Brian and Katie Torwalt. And I feel like this text is probably where these lyrics came from. Like the bridge just says, your kingdom is backwards. It flows in reverse. What you call a treasure, this world calls a curse. The small become great and the last become first. Your kingdom is backwards. And then the end is, Lord, teach us to serve. As it is with your kingdom, let it be with your church. And it's just the idea of like, when we're in the Christian life, we have to think completely differently than the world thinks. Like the church shouldn't look like the church structure shouldn't look like exactly like a business structure.
Yeah.
It shouldn't look worldly because we're not. It's supposed to look backwards. It's supposed to be lived out differently.
Yeah, I had a young guy in ministry, real good guy, great heart, and he was talking to me on the phone the other night, and he was like, we have to get in our heads. I mean, he's probably 24 years old and well intentioned. Like I want to say that, like very much so. But he's like, we've got to get in our heads that the church is a business in 2025. Like the church is a business. And he said it a couple of times, and I finally stopped him and I said, actually, the church is not a business. I said, the church has business aspects. We have to pay our bills. We have to deal with like those kind of things. We have to keep the utilities on. We purchase buildings. But for the church to actually be the church, we also have to embrace doing things that no business would ever do, right? Let's just give away large chunks of resource. Like, and to go like most businesses are going to go like, I want to hold on to my profit. Churches are supposed to go, how do I give it away to bless the world? How do I infuse this into the world in mission and in ministry, that and get in most cases nothing in return for that, at least monetarily?
Sure.
That's not a business model. I mean, I can go through countless moments in this church and in others where you watch churches go like, pay off medical debt for people and do it like that's not like it's not normal for like you have a great employer. Do they often come and go like, hey, I'd love to pay your bills for you?
No, they don't. That would be delightful.
But they're probably going, well, we pay you a salary, man, like deal with your own stuff.
Which I get.
But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense, but that's a business. So like I don't begrudge them that because they are a business.
Is that, and I don't mean this specific person, but this general idea, is that a more dangerous part of misunderstanding faith, is thinking that you're doing it right? Like that person that you just talked to, and again, they had good intentions, but I feel like we've already gone through several things where people had good intentions, but they just fundamentally like misunderstood what they were supposed to be doing. And it feels like that can be dangerous because that person's not like, ooh, I got to avoid this. They're like, no, I'm trying to help. And you're like, you're not helping.
Yeah, and to his credit, like he immediately was like, "Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. Like I need to change the way that I think."
And I did not mean to direct.
No. But I think you're correct. I think there's a lot of people that we think we're doing good,
Yeah.
but don't always evaluate it based on the right things, and we're actually doing the wrong thing. I mean, we've said this many times, but like Peter thought he was doing the right thing by saying, "I'm not going to let Jesus go and face the cross," and Jesus called him Satan for it. Like Jesus was like, "You and I are not on the same plan, man. Like I've got to go to the cross." And so I think we can be well-intentioned and miss the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last verse, definitely my favorite verse in this passage. It's a very well-known verse. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many. And weirdly, the word that jumps out to me the most here is the word even. For even the Son of Man. And it was just the idea for me that, like, if there was any person that ever had the right to show up on planet Earth and go, serve me, it's Jesus.
Yeah.
He made it. Like, he's the owner of it. He's the guy who calls the shots. And Jesus chooses humility. And I don't know, that's just such an incredible model to, like, and challenge for me.
Yeah.
Like, there can be moments, I know this is shocking, I can struggle with a lack of humility in my life, where I can show up at my home, at my work, and go like, this is the way I want it to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to call the shots on how it is done. I would like it to be done the way I would like it to be done and the time I would like it to be done.
Yeah.
And Jesus could have done that with all of human history. And he showed up as a baby and walked with 12 respectfully idiots for 3 years and answered their dumb questions and then went and died for them
Yeah.
and then set them loose on mission. So I don't know. It's just so challenging and like personally convicting to go like, this is how we're supposed to live. Even Jesus shows up with all the right to do the opposite and chooses to be a servant.
Yeah, think about how insane. This is why I am not Jesus, and that's a great thing.
Yeah,
because
same.
like he made the world turned his back on him, and he served them anyway. Like if I walked into my home with my 3 children and I went, "Hey, can you guys do this?" And they go, "We don't have to do what you say." I'd be like, "Sucker, I made you. Okay, you do, yes, fall under my authority." Like I would not be like it would have been so easy for me if I was Jesus. If you show up at the world and they're like, "We don't have to follow you," I'm like, wrong. I might flex before I served, and so like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
that's
it's like and he's about to do this, and we'll cover it sometime on some future podcast. But like, and I think we did a little bit with the pilot episode. But just like Jesus walks this whole journey to the cross. And just says nothing. Like he virtually says nothing. All of it's lies. All of it is false accusations. They're spitting on him and flogging him, and he's just quiet.
yeah, because he knows was the plan. This is how I'll serve humanity.
What he also knows, which is the end of this verse, is that he's giving his life for these people.
Yeah, giving your life for the same people who are spitting on you and mocking you.
That's amazing. Now,
And who are vying for power in your kingdom.
okay, so then that actually ties into my next question. I don't know if it's like directly, did you get the sense or did the disciples get the message? Like, do you get the sense going forward that everyone falls in line?
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
But I'm not sure it happens before the resurrection.
Okay.
Yeah, in the chronology of Mark, it's going to come pretty quick.
Sure.
But because
But Mark's book reads like an action movie. So
right. So
Scene 1.
it moves pretty quick. Like
yes.
there's a lot of quick cuts in Mark.
Yeah.
Because they're about to do the triumphal entry and they're not far away from like the cross and the resurrection. And it's all going to happen pretty quick. But yeah, in this moment, I don't think they had a clue.
No.
I wouldn't have. I mean, I'm not trying to say I'm any better.
Well,
I
the
don't
truth
think
is they
anybody was envisioning this.
To your point earlier, they didn't know. That's why they're in a locked room on Easter Sunday, right? Like,
Right.
they're hanging out and like they're scared. Several of them have gone back to the way of life they had before. Like they thought it was over.
But the most amazing part about this whole story to me is if you tell me the story of all the disciples, the apostles, all these guys that are following Jesus before the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus, when I resurrect, wouldn't it have been easier to get brighter guys?
You're like people that wouldn't have had been like, oh, my bad.
Right. But I think this is such a so emblematic of the gospel that he's going to go, I needed to tell the story of how much they didn't get it, and then use those same people to represent how much they got it later. To show us the transformation that Jesus has in our life.
And that is so fascinating to me, and that's why I find like this passage really interesting, but just the general idea, I have to admit, I probably came in like hopefully many others and think, well, the disciples are the best of the best.
Right.
Like you get the 12 best people, and like those are going to be your followers. And as we go, or, you know, your like right-hand men, but as you go through, you're like, not really. They maybe weren't better than...
They turned out great.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, I called them idiots earlier. I think they're amazing.
Yes. But it's the journey that it feels like, I mean, not feels like, we all have to take.
Yep.
I don't think we've come across, well, there's been a couple people who straight away are like, yep, you tell me what to do. I've believed my entire life. But it feels like for the most part, you come across people who it takes a minute. Which, of course, it does.
Yeah, I don't think anything's changed in that respect. As a matter of fact, so Wes got to go down a little bit of a nerdy path, so I'll go down a little bit of a nerdy path here for just a second. So,
Just a second, everybody. Heard that?
I love. So there was a quote. Again, this is my second time to quote and go. I have no idea who said it, but they were like, the statement was for every statement you see in the New Testament, there's a picture in the Old Testament.
Oh, yeah.
Like a story in the Old Testament that kind of lives it out. So I think about the 12 disciples and how much they didn't get it, and they thought they were better than they were, and then they were ultimately humbled by the whole experience. And I go, if you go back to the Old Testament, there's going to be a time in the book of Numbers when the 12 tribes of Israel are going to be asked to give their 12 best guys to go, like to your point, or like if these are the best, the 12 best guys, the top dog from each of the 12 tribes are going to come and be introduced to Moses. Moses is like the guy right now. So they're like, all right, where are your dudes? Like they're about to go and do this whole spy thing. And we'll get into that in an upcoming series called Joshua. But what I love about the story is these 12 guys show up and they think, man, we are legit. And one of them is a guy, like they're all about to introduce themselves to Moses before he sends them on their task. And when you get to the guy we know as Joshua, that's not what his name starts as. So basically, just to use the English interpretations of this, is when, I mean, if you're the best of the tribe, you probably have a name that represents it. So Moses goes, hey kid, what's your name? And his name essentially is Savior. And Moses' immediate response was, "Well, we're going to change that.
Yeah,
we're gonna change your name to Yahweh Saves," and that's what the name Joshua means, and that's who we'll know him as for the rest of it. So it's just like this same idea of like we think we can tend to think that we're better than we are. We can tend to think we're going to be the ones that answer that solve the problems, and in every case, it's God who saves. God humbles us, and we end up being a servant of what he wants to do and serve his kingdom. It happens in Joshua's life. It happens in James and John's life. It happens in our life. So just to connect all of history. I mean, Joshua's pretty far back there. It's book 6.
You knew that was going to be a grandiose wrap-up, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Now, just for people listening, watching, whatever, I'd be really curious if you want to drop into the comments or give us your thoughts. Do you like the tomfoolery at the beginning of these podcasts? Or do you just want to get right to it? Just curious.
I'm sure y'all love it.
Yep.
I hope so.
I do get little comments said to me from people all the time.
That are positive?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
But they make reference to things we say.
Okay, good.
Sometimes I forget the things we say, so I'm just real confused.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I could definitely see
I can't
that.
be held accountable for all the words I say, right?
You know, I worked with somebody who told me once, and this I think about this all the time. He goes, I I've heard every word I've ever said. And I'm like, I guess that's probably true.
I'm going to tell you, I haven't.
Okay. Sometimes he just
Oh,
keeps
we need
talking.
a side camera on Crystal, everybody.
Really do.
Be
I need a cut of Wes going, do you still know that you're talking right now? Just one time. All right. For Wes, for Jason, I'm Kevin. This is the Crossroads Podcast. We'll see you next time.
Sons of Thunder.